Here we go. Welcome back to Blue Exorcist Anime Review, episode number 33. Let's hope I'm not splitting this episode in half like it was for last week. So, we're here discussing the 56th episode of the series, known as Variant Leaves. This episode itself adapts from Chapter 83, pages 23 and 35, Chapter 84, pages 10 to 34, Chapter 85, pages 8 to 15, the entirety of Chapter 86, and pages 2 through 9 of Chapter 87. So, here's what happened. So they skip over they go basically after the recap, after you have Lightning and Bond arriving at the orphanage where Ren and Yuki basically grew up. So they talk to three monks that are still there, which apparently is led to Blue Order after this the Blue Knight. So they asked Blue Knight, but can't exactly discuss anything about it because under oath. And then, of course, basically sort of has the older monk basically kind of spill the beans. And he mentions Section 13, Elixir, and then he dies thanks to Grim Reaper with time glass. And he knows his basically mark on his back of his neck, and on his nape, and realizes, oh yeah, this is Mephisto's doing. So he immediately goes to Mephisto, where he is bathing. He calls him a pervert. I thought that was kind of funny. Also, apparently Mephisto, you see his body in the episode, like he's got burns on him. Like, damn. There's that one fun moment where he's like, it looks like he's smoking bubbles and sitting cross-legged, probably the cover of his groin, and basically kind of explaining the whole thing of like, oh, key in the hand type of thing, go to this one area. Yeah. And then they go to the area. And they just pull up this one thing, there's nothing pulls up, and then like they see these two archways, one is a hand, the other is a key, and then they activate it. Excuse me. And apparently, the area they're in used to be the cram school, but it was an asylum as a cover for Sex 13, which was we'll get to. So they get inside, like, oh, we see some beds. They do kind of limit out here, probably due to time. But I'm glad the fact they kept a lot of this stuff in here, where they showed the beds off briefly. There's a little more here before that. It was actually a guy here they met here, just very briefly. My guess is they cut him probably due to time, just to move the story along. And they basically come across an examination room, oh, they go silly. No, this is for experiments. And then comes records. By the way, the floor is covered in water. My guess the place was flooded. So, and they look through the records. These nice looking records. Surprisingly, these records are a little damp. Surprisingly, after 16 years. And they look through oh, and then of course bring a book with them because, well, Bond goes in the room and discovers there's a whole line of tubes filled with bodies. One of them is dead. Okay, so they find out that these are clones made for Devil Kings. And there's one for Lucifer, Samael, which is... And by the way, all these Devil Kings names, except for in my mind, are alternate names for Satan. So, and of course... Well, Bond knows what Maimon is because he met him back in season 1. So, of course, he recognizes him right away because he knows exactly what the guy looks like. So, it turns out Maimon was, in fact, created this very lab. His body was. And then apparently the people who are still in the laboratory 16 years wakes up. And they start attacking him. And then Mephisto's like, well, that basically woke him up. Bath time! And proceeds to have these two get washed. Yes. And Mephisto explains everything. The fact that apparently, they came to Earth some time ago from, of course, Gehenna. The fact you had these brothers who, basically, his side founded the True Cross, and Lucifer's side, people work with him, basically help found the Illuminati. So explains, the fact that the whole thing is actually was create bodies of Devil Kings. And of course, they where Six felt creating new bodies, but they didn't last very long. And Lucifer's body would decay quickly. The reason why he keeps getting the body probably because it's very powerful. And thanks to these experiments, of course, they created the whole thing of like the immortal elixir. And apparently, they only had one successful person who was successful with this, and that was a Maimon. He was the only one who was successful with this, which I find that interesting. Of all the Devil Kings, now Mephisto, the only reason why his body didn't decay like everybody else's, because his power of time. Yep, that's pretty much the reason for it. Oh, by the way, Lucifer, at one point prior to the whole experiment thing happening, he wanted to blow up the whole fucking planet and start all over again. Because he was dying, he couldn't live. And we see that in his body, it's like bleeding. On this nice suit he's got on. Damn. And just by sheer coincidence, like, they were in the Blue Knight lab, and like we had this other person who was so powerful, like some Gehenna came in, and it was Satan himself. And that's what kind of caused the Blue Knight incident in the first place. I do appreciate the fact they kept a lot of the meat in here, which I thought was really cool. There's a brief scene in Ren and Yuki where they're basically mourning that monk's death from early in the episode, which that's the only time you've seen the whole episode. It's not, I would say in the case of these two, yeah, their involvement in this episode was cut due to time. Unlike other times, which I would blame the fact that they weren't featured, this one, yes, I would definitely blame the anime for cutting their time. So, like I would say in previous other videos, if a character's not featured in an episode, it's either probably because they weren't featured in the actual manga. It was because the anime cut them. It was because basically they're barely featured, or in fact, if they're barely featured, because of course the manga. This is definitely the case where it's the anime's fault. Yes. So, after they're all bathed, they get dressed, and then, of course, basically the episode ends where Lightning is confronted by Arthur, asking him, what are you doing here? End of the episode. Really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and we're a little over halfway through season 4 of the show. And I personally cannot wait for basically season 5, whenever that is. Now, from what I can tell, it looks like, though, that when the season ends, I thought this arc was separate, but apparently it's so edited where the two arcs are combined together for some reason. I'm not sure why. I don't know, but good episode overall. And the Blue Investigation stuff, which started with the previous episode, it wraps with chapter 99. We're only chapter 8, only up with 87, so my guess is probably next episode will probably have the rest. Yeah. But overall, like I said, great. Oh, by the way, they do mention that Arthur and one other doctor who actually survived the events of the previous episode, the thing. Yeah, they're on the contract. This other doctor, Drake Dastaru, I think his name is. I think this episode was his debut appearance. No, he debuted episode 50. But yeah, he apparently was there for he was there for Blue Knight, and he left. And he was like he was the head of the research department that basically was in charge of the. He and Angel, the only people who actually survived. Everyone else is all dead. But they're on their special pact, but they can't exactly reveal. Well, they can't exactly remember the Blue Knight. I find it interesting. Arthur remembers. I get maybe the Arthur guy not remembering too. But Arthur, like, how old is Arthur? Arthur A. Angel. Okay, so he's 30, so he must have been pretty young when he was involved with this one. Yes, so if it's 16 years running into the series, my guess is he must have been 14 when he was involved with Section 13. Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. But definitely looking forward to the next episode, which will air next week. I do have one more anime left, and then I'll watch Jaspion. Definitely. But yeah, that's particularly a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and enjoy the like button. Next up, after dinner, will be a Comic Corner. And then, 7 Deadly Sins for Night's Apocalypse. Okay, next view. Bye.